pace them up.
I am your host, C. Reggie Rogers, renowned relationship coach, author, television host, radio host, podcast host, and I've got... I consider myself a singles empowerment coach. Now, when I say singles empowerment coach, my objective is to literally teach singles or empower singles what it means to become the one so that they attract. You know, breaking up really is so hard. Breakups are never easy for anyone. And so this month, we're going to be talking about It's Over, I'm Sick. So that was the thing that drew me to you, and I wanted to get some advice, some wisdom from you in regards to this dating process.
Yes.
I want to talk about it. Hello and welcome to this evening's virtual gathering. This evening promises to be something exciting, and we put together a great virtual gathering this evening that we're going to call our relationship episode. And we've got a great show prepared for all of you on this evening, and I've got some mastermind thinkers tonight. But before I introduce my mastermind thinkers, I want all of you that are watching us on YouTube, I want you to like, I want you to subscribe, and then those of you that are watching us on Facebook, of course, I want you to like and share. So we're going to talk about relationships this evening, because relationships are a mirror for our soul's evolution. In every one of us, some way, somehow, we're all will be in a relationship, whether it's a work relationship, whether it's a marriage relationship, whether it's a fiance relationship. We're all going to be in a relationship some way, somehow. So emotions are filling what we will call these fleeting waves, while energy is the enduring baseline. Frequency of your shared fields often come to play when we talk about relationships. Faith is an active, grounded trust in unseen growth, while frequency is the actual vibrational match that dictates what you attract and what you sustain. So holiness or holy is an old dogma that seeks perfection, while whole or holistic is the true spiritual state of accepting all flaws as part of the divine design. So my panel tonight of master thinkers is going to help us shift our thoughts, our emotions, and our choices. We have an evening of exploration in store for you. This evening is all about enlightening, empowering, and ultimately expanding. It's the relationship episode. And tonight we're going to explore 6 concepts. The 6 concepts that we're going to explore tonight is emotions, energy, faith, frequency, holy, and holistic or whole. Hopefully, we'll be able to shift from rigid rules in these energetic guides tonight as my master thinkers help you to shift the old pattern to some new patterns. But before we get started tonight, again, I want you to I want you to subscribe. And again, if you're looking at us on YouTube, I want you to click the subscribe button there and become a part of our YouTube as well as our Facebook family. So before I get ready to announce these master thinkers, I want all of you take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, and let's do it again. Inhale and exhale. Let's get our mind prepared for a virtual gathering so that we can expand in 2026. Our first guest tonight is none other than Dr. Ricky Carr. He is a pastor, he is a counselor, and he is a leadership in education with more than 30 years of experience in helping individuals, couples, and families build strong, healthy relationships. He holds a master's degree in pastoral counseling, and he is a certified temperament counselor. Let's give a big rousing round of applause for Dr. Ricky Carr. Our second guest tonight is a regular here. If you've seen a lot of me on podcasts, you've also seen Dr. Sofie somewhere down the road, but we've worked together quite often. Dr. Sofie Nubani, she refers to herself as the catalyst of creative transformation. She emerges as a visionary, creative, interpersonal coach. She masterfully infuses science, spirituality, and human insight to unleash hidden potential. She is a certified NLP trainer and a master practitioner, social and emotional intelligence coach as well. She's a motivational coach. She holds a doctorate in spiritual development. Let's give a rousing round of applause for Dr. Sofie Nubani. So after this commercial, we're going to come back, and after this commercial, we're going to tackle this first question is, what role does emotions play when it comes to relationships? That's the question we're going to tackle after this first commercial. We'll be right back.
Your core values are so intrinsic to who you are. This is why you become better suited to a partner who shares your values and your beliefs. If you are not aware of what your core values are, it will become very difficult for you to recognize a partner with whom you are fundamentally compatible with. So my question becomes, are you awake and ready to date?
So we're back. Dr. Ricky Carr, so glad to have you on this panel tonight. Dr. Sofie Nubani, so glad to have you as well on this panel tonight. Before we dive into these questions, Dr. Ricky Carr, how are you feeling on this evening?
Man, I'm doing great. I feel great. I'm happy to be on this podcast with you. Been knowing you a few years, and I'm here to help you as I've always done.
He said, listen, I need all the help I can get. I certainly appreciate it. Dr. Sofie Nubani, how about you? How are you doing on this evening?
I am extremely excited. I was looking forward for our virtual gathering. And as always, Reggie Rogers, I always admire your shows and your walk of life, that you really complement your message and what you share with others. So grateful to be here.
All right. Awesome. So you guys ready to tackle this first question?
Absolutely.
All right. So this first question is, what role does emotions play when it comes to relationships? Dr. Carr, I felt this would be great because, there are some terms that is used in what we would call the church realm. There are a lot of terms that have become churchy and people equate them to just being church terms. without them really understanding that they're really they're universal terms, but because they've been used so often and so frequent in the church world. For example, we talk about how sometimes emotions play a major role when it comes to church, especially on Sundays, and how the worship experience goes. But, I wanted to dive into this because I wanted to challenge these terms when it comes to relationships and how we can build relationships, and how these terms play a significant role when it comes to relationships. So let's talk about that. What role does emotions play? What do you think about when we talk about relationships and this word emotions, Dr. Carr?
I think about awareness. When I think about emotions, I think about awareness. We are wired a certain way. And when something happens, then that's a natural response. You become aware of something that has happened. And now you have to respond based upon what you perceive just happened. So emotions is natural. It's going to happen. There's nothing wrong with it. You just simply have to control it by decisions. Emotions should never make decisions. It just alerts you to something, but you have to control it by making a decision of how your response is going to be. So therefore, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, so you have to focus on your response more so than the emotion. And that has to do with a decision. You decide how you're going to respond to what you have now become alerted to, aware of, the signal that has come to you. And most people fail at the decision piece. That's why the Bible speaks about us. You have to have your mind renewed so you can think a certain way. You think on the principles. You think on the principles that you've learned in order to keep the emotions positive.
I like it. Now, Dr. Sofie, he came from a Christian principle standpoint. I want you to take that and probably run with a expanded conscious type of perspective, metaphysical, holistic perspective. And when I talk about emotions in a relationship, Dr. Sofie, what comes to your mind?
To gauge one's understanding of how they are self-regulated. And that's where you gauge your emotional temperature, and you're able to apply, based on the situation, your emotional intelligence, because emotions are not permanent, they are temporarily. And when we are able to understand why we feel a certain way, how we feel about certain things, then we are able to regulate them in a much more, as our amazing doctor just mentioned, to be able to, project, and how we make better choices to how we understand what we are feeling. I feel the heart center is a big part of it, as well as your consciousness of what is going on at that moment. Again, yes, it ties to awareness for sure, but in our, if I would say from a holistic way, I would say the way we express, and it is something that is, it's almost like a phone notification. They can pop in at any time, different ways. At one point you could be happy talking to your partner and suddenly get into a conflict, and you get sad and you cry, but then 2 hours later you solve the conflict and you're both laughing again, because that's how emotions work. And once you're aware of that, then you can regulate them a whole lot better.
So based off of what both of you said, I'm just going to try to sum it up. I think that you said something I think is extremely powerful. Emotions are temporary. So they're temporary states. I agree with that 100%. They become like this rise and fall, like these ocean waves. They go and they come. They go and they come. And when we talk about emotions, they really just give you data. That's what emotions do. They give you this certain type of data, but they do not run the core connection. And I think that's when it becomes important, because when we go to our next question, because emotions don't run the core connection, Dr. Ricky Carr said something extremely important when it comes to making a choice. Don't make an emotional choice, right? And so let's go to this next question, because I think it segues to that. What roles does energy play when it comes to relationship? And this time I'm going to start with you, Dr. Sofie. What roles do energy play when it comes to relationships?
So your emotions really kind of projects your way you show up, your demeanor, your body language, right? But your energy is something that you're more made of, a foundation, okay? So how you are, if you have a positive energy, you come in and the room expands with just your presence. Likewise, if you're very anxious and you just sit next to people on a table, they can all feel that vibe of constraint and negativity. But that would be the energy you bring along with you, which kind of walks with you on your walk of life, more than a temporary set of an emotion that can just be changed in a different time, where you're watching a comedy, having fun, and God forbid you hear bad news, and next thing you're crying over a loved one. So that's the difference. And the way the energy you come with is something that even if you had good or bad news, you project that based on the way your soul, blueprint is, kind of, you walk with that energy.
I like it. Dr. Ricky Carr, what would you like to add to when it comes to energy? What role does energy play when it comes to relationships?
When I think about energy, I think about capacity, and I think about the force that's available to act. I think about energy, the force that's available to act. There's a scripture that says, be angry, but sin not. So how can you be angry and then sin not? Well, it's where you apply that force, where you apply that energy. And what we teach is you apply the energy to your decision-making process. See, when the emotions, or when you become alert to something and you get a perspective, you have to be careful that you don't react to that. You have to then apply decision. And what I use when I'm teaching people, I said, that's a system, that's a process for making a decision. I call it the 1-3-1 process. That's where you take your energies to. Because if not, you go through some negative behavior. But if you go to, okay, I need to make a decision here that's well thought out. So you have to have that already in place. 1-3-1. 1, know what the problem is. You have to know what you're alerted to. You have to be able to define what it is. 3, you need to come up with 3 options of how you're going to respond to becoming aware of what just happened. And then 1, you have to choose the best of the 3. And so therefore, you don't make any decisions until you go through the whole process. Just because you become aware, alerted to something, is not time to make a decision. Take all of your energies now, whatever available forces that you have, and apply it to the decision-making process, so your actions will be positive and have a positive impact. That's how you can sin or be angry and sin not. It's all about decisions.
Okay, so let me ask both of you a question. Would you both agree that emotions become the language of the body, and can also energy become the language of the body? Why? Because emotions is energy in motion. So emotions now has the ability to become the language of the body. Do you guys agree that emotions and energy can become the language of the body?
Absolutely. And that's the problem. When you allow emotions and anger to take the lead, that's where the problem comes. Because, things are going to happen. Emotions is natural. Energy is there. You can't change it. The key to everything is having a decision-making model. So even though you have those emotions, you don't trust your decision on those emotions. You have to then focus on how I'm going to address this, because it's about responses. It's about a response, and it has to be based on I talk about, you have to filter your decisions. Before you make a decision, it has to be filtered, and then focus on decisions. And a lot of time in relationships, what people end up doing, they become alert. They become alerted to something, and then they react. Something goes wrong, then they react. Something go right, they act. But I tell people, pause. You got to pause. That is not the time to react, because what you're going to do, you're going to make a situation that's bad worse. Pause. Go through this process. And then once you've gone through a process, then you put the energy to applying the results of the process.
Love it. Love it. Dr. Sofie?
Yeah, I mean, we all know the phrase where energy goes, where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah,
and when you're able to really pinpoint what is happening, creating an internal dialogue and a process is a very, very useful thing that, as an NLP training practitioner, we talk with the language of subconscious mind, similarly in a different way. But I love the framework that 131 example was addressed, because when people have how to do something, a lot of people know and hear things, but then they just need the steps so they can create that framework for themselves and also work with that in their internal dialogue when something does happen and rises at different occasions, different reasons, and so forth. They have something to anchor to and go and pull that framework for how they are going to respond on a regular basis, and it becomes automatic by default. So it becomes easier and easier as it's practiced more often, and it becomes even more appreciated, understood, and then you come across more calm and also expressive in a way that you are not there to argue or to prove a point, but a way that you're trying to really solve what has happened. If it was a challenging thing, that you want to really get the best outcome as a result.
So I want to encapsulate all this and tie it down for singles and people that are in a relationship, people that are married. So how do we apply emotions and energy when it comes to a relationship? In a relationships, this is what I would say. So that I'm going to take a piece from what Dr. Carr said, piece from what Dr. Sofie said, and just encapsulate. In relationships, I'm going to say, do not get trapped in every passing emotional storm. Do not get trapped in every passing emotional storm. Look beneath the surface to feel the actual energy that your partner holds. Because I think that once you can look beneath the surface and get to the subterfuge of what's really happening here, then you can kind of sense the energy. And as Dr. Sofie said, where the attention goes, that's how energy flows. So what's going on in the mind? Because thoughts become the language of the mind and emotions becomes the language of the body. We're going to take a commercial, and we'll be right back to talk about faith versus frequency. Okay. So we're back, and so in the first segment, we talked about emotions and energy. I thought that was really great. Both of you had great points when it comes to emotions and energy. But we want to plunge a little bit deeper. And if you guys have not gotten the book Awake and Ready to Date yet, make sure you get Awake and Ready to Date. If you go to the barcode underneath where it says See Reggie Rogers there, go to that barcode, you will be able to get the book Awake and Ready to Date, dating from an expanded conscious perspective. Let's talk about faith versus frequency. What role does faith play in a relationship? And I got to start with you, Dr. Carr, because this is your lane. You are in that church world. You are a pastor. You are a bishop. Come on. You guys think that you have a monopoly on the word faith. So let's talk about what role does faith play in relationships?
Faith is very important. Most of the time when we think about faith, we just think about belief. And then I tell people, or share with people all the time, I say the scripture says devils believe too, but it don't mean anything, and faith without works is there. So when you talk about faith, you have to understand it's much deeper than belief. And so when I teach faith, I talk about 3 dimensions. When I speak about faith, 3 dimensions: confidence, convinced, and then commitment. Confidence basically is when a person trusts something. It's more than belief, it's trust. That's confident. I know with my wife and I, when we have a discussion sometime, and she said, I believe this and another, I said, okay, are you confident or are you convinced? Because it's important to me which one are you speaking about. Because if you are confident, that means you believe it. If you ain't convinced yet, the trust is not there yet. And you have to have those 2 in place before commitment comes. You don't commit with action until it goes from confidence, convinced, and then action. And what I use, since you want to put the Bible in it, I speak about how the Bible said that they were pricked in their hearts. They were convinced in their hearts on the day of Pentecost. And it was out of that conviction, then they said, what shall we do? So the action will not take place until somebody graduates from confidence to conviction. And now you got commitment.
Wow. So what your 3 prongs, what's your 3 prongs there? Confidence, conviction. What were your 3 prongs? Confidence, convict was the 3rd one.
And commitment.
Commitment. I like it. Okay.
Commit to action. There's a commit to action. Yeah.
All right. Dr. Sofie, what role does faith play in because faith really is a universal word. I know you guys have boxed it in the church and made it, but everybody really has faith. It's just a question of what do you have faith in? I'm sitting in a chair right now, and I had enough faith to sit in this chair to believe that this chair was going to hold me up, right? So when I drove here, even though I have a push button to start my car, but without my key, if I push it, it's still not going to start. I have to have the key somewhere so that I can push it. So I had enough faith to believe that when I pushed it, because I had the key, it was going to start. So I really believe everybody has faith. It's just what do you have faith in? So it's really a universal term. So Dr. Sofie, what role does faith play in relationships?
I believe that faith is the foundation that can hold a relationship and sustain it in challenging times. The belief of something bigger that is good, that you both have an understanding and a faith in, like you said, regardless of the background of it, could, whether it's different religion or the concept of faith. In this case, the faith that when you go through different seasons of your life, that something is holding this relationship. It's sacred. It's something that is invisible, but is there. You can't trust and doubt at the same time. When you have the faith and you trust, it just makes you feel, like he said, the confidence comes out when you are trusting and not in fear and doubt. And so I believe that faith in relationships, regardless of the definition to that person they call, is very important, powerful force that can hold and sustain the relationship, and what's it's in alignment to their belief and understanding, that it can become very sacred and it can hold the relationship on another whole level.
So is it like a glue, you guys? Is it like that glue?
It helps your inner compass to have clarity of how you make decisions as a couple. You know, some people, they are all, you say a family that prays together stays together. Before any major decision, they like to pray about it. And the way they actually walk the walk of life, in what direction they are going to be taking, and the way they're going to conduct their household, whether it's in finances, whether it's raising children, whether it's the behavior, the commitment to one to the other, the faithfulness of them together, because doing things the right way, because of this higher force that they believe in, that they would be accountable to at one point. They do it, and you don't and they feel like, when done correctly, obviously, they just have this deep sense of trust and more of the commitment in the relationship.
Dr. Carr, let me have give me those 3 C's again, because I really like that.
Well, confident, conviction, commitment. And the reason I say that, if you ask a person, do you love your spouse? Most people say, yes, I love. I don't ask that question, because love is an emotion. We already talked about all that. My question is, are you confident in your spouse? Are you confident in everything that they say to you? If you're confident, then I want to know, well, are you convinced in what they say? Because that's another whole level now. It takes it to another level. And because if you are confident and convinced that your spouse is faithful, or that your spouse loves you, then your actions will demonstrate that confidence. But if you're not confident and convinced, there's going to be a hesitation in your actions towards your spouse. Because in society, we base everything on love.
Yeah.
Do you love the Lord, or do you trust him? That's the key. Which one is it? Because
and the
love
commitment will result in that.
The commitment comes after that. You're absolutely correct. And so if I'm going to counsel somebody, I get all past this love stuff. I love him. And okay, let's get past that. Let's break it down into some steps so we can dig deep. When you're dealing with couples, you have to stop talking on the surface.
Yeah.
Because when you finish, you haven't really accomplished anything. You have to break the surface. Let's get deep now. Are you confident in them? I think I am. You got a problem.
Let me ask you something before we dive, because frequency, we're talking about language when we start talking about frequency, but before we dive into frequency, let me ask you, so you got your 3 C's. I want you to attach this to, because I want to see how you would work this into what you have. I love it. So we got confident, right? Confidence. How about competence? And then how about contagious? Because I think that confidence creates competence, but then I think once we can create that, it can become contagious. How would you add that in? Because you're a wordsmith there, Dr. Carr. Talk to me on that.
Well, and that's a very good question and a very good point. You can't have confidence in a person if they're not competent.
Yeah.
There is no way. Because if a person is not confident in a person, taking your thing, I'm not confident. Is it because you think they're incompetent in the things that you ask them to do? Because if you feel a person is incompetent to love you, to take care of you, to provide for you, if you feel they're incompetent, you can't have confidence in them.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're not going to have any conviction in what they're saying, and therefore your commitment level to that is not going to exist. This is why you cannot base a marriage on emotions. There has to be principles. I think I talked to you one time. When I talk about marriage, I use an 8-component system. You have to base your marriage off of a system. And when you base it off a system, one of these components is what we're talking about right now. You know, you cannot, and that's what happens when you get married. People get married and all these wonderful things, and I love him and everything, and until the day I die, I'm going to this, that, and other. Okay, that sounds good. But the test is, do you have confidence in this person you say you love? Bottom line. And if you don't have confidence, you're definitely not convicted or convinced about anything they say.
That's
I paid
good.
the bills. You ain't convinced because you're not confident they know how to pay the bills on time. So you're not convinced. Then they say, "Well, you think I'm lying?" No, what you have to understand: competence don't work if you're not trustworthy. See, if they're all steps, trustworthiness cannot exist if a person don't have character, they're not competent, and they don't have capacity. You can't have all that. So it starts with the individual. Are you a trustworthy person where another person can have confidence in you? You see what I'm saying, sir?
I like it. I like it. So now we're talking your language, Dr. Sofie. What about frequency? What role does frequency play in a relationship?
I would say that it's how the couples are tuned into one another. It's like a radio station and they're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
You know? And when that is in alignment, they are in more states of harmony than when they're completely opposite. You know, you talk east, they talk west, and that yes, there's room for growth and all that, but that can create a lot of exhaustion in the way you are attending to the energy that you are providing and sharing to one another. So frequency, when it's in alignment and they are in tuned to that, then they are more aware of things, of how they check on each other, of the time to say something or not to say something. You know, it's just they're more aware of that. You know, it's just like a little signal that they can really tap into one another a lot more than if they were not on the same frequency.
Love it. Dr. Carr, frequency in a relationship.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with Dr. Sofie on that piece. Alignment is important. And I believe a lot of time with marriages, that's where it breaks down at the beginning. Because most of the time, if you go to a marriage counseling, they start telling you what your role is as a husband, what your role is as a wife. I've often said that's not where I would begin, because that's part of my structure, but that's not where I would begin. The place I begin is purpose. You have to understand the why. Why are we coming together? Why are we getting married? If you don't establish up front what the purpose of our relationship is going to be about, how can you be on the same page? Because you never discussed that, because you were never told the purpose of marriage. And I teach also, since you keep putting God in it, I teach.
No. You keep putting God in it, but I'm working with you.
It in. hey, I tell people all the time, if you want to understand the purpose of marriage, you can't talk to Dr. Carr. You can't talk to Dr. Sofie. You can't talk to Reggie. You got to go to the person that instituted this. And that was God. And he told you what the purpose was. He said the purpose of marriage is for two people to come together and be productive. He said, be fruitful. The purpose of marriage is to be productive. These two human beings are coming together to be productive. So they need to know, be productive in what? Because whatever you are productive in, the end game for the couple is to pass it on to their children. That's when you have, inheritance. So you have to be productive. It says be fruitful, multiply. You know the whole story. All of those things must be in place. That's where the alignment is. If that's not clear, if you're married just because you coming out of a hard situation and you just want some relief, somebody to be your healer, that's the wrong purpose. The purpose must be an assignment. What is the assignment for this family? If you haven't defined that, without a vision, Reggie, you know this, without a vision, people perish.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also add to that too. I don't think that fake frequency can be faked. I don't think that you can fake frequency. Why do I say I don't think you can fake frequency? Because you match and you co-create based off of your inner state. It's what's in here. So one of the things that I think is important is, one of the things that I teach couples or I teach singles is this principle called PSI, which is PSI. It's the acronym PSI. What is PSI? It's people that are synergistically involved. What is someone who is synergistically involved? That's two people who have matched their energies, and their energies have now merged to create a synergy. Well, what is this? What makes that synergy special for the two people? Synergy is that thing that makes them unique, right? So it's the thing that creates their harmony. It's what creates their unity. It's what creates their unification. It's what creates their bond. It's what creates their oneness. So for me, I love what you said. It's like an actual radio station that you tune into. It's just two people that have been in an alignment, tuned into a certain station. There's a wavelength that they're, but it's got to come. It's based off of this inner state. It's working from within to come without. So how would I tie this probably into relationships? I would say faith gives you patience during the hard times, but I would say frequency ensures you and your partner actually match in daily resonance, because it has to resonate with you. That's your frequency. Before we take this commercial, anything that you guys want to add to something that I said, either one of you, before we take this commercial?
You have to know your why. I agree with what you said. You have to know your why. It has to be more than love. There's got to be an assignment. There has to be an agenda. There has to be something that's motivating you besides love. So the two couples, when they come to me, my first question, explain to me your why. I want to know why. And I just love them. They mean so much to me, and that's fine.
Wow.
But that's not going to cause progression. You got to have that's like starting a business. You got to have a plan. You have to have a purpose. That your marriage is just like starting a business. What are we going to do? And that synergy that you're talking about, that's what's going to be necessary. Applied, that has to be applied to the purpose. That synergy has to be applied to the purpose. That's what causes movement. If it's not applied to the purpose, it's a stale marriage. But that synergy applied to a purpose causes movement.
Yeah, if it's not applied, if it's not applied, if it's not applied, you're right. It becomes stale. It's stoic. It's fossilized. Yep. Dr. Sofie, I know you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would just say that if the couple, when it's talking about purpose, which is always important, even individual and as a couple, you know, your individual purpose and you as a couple, one purpose towards the household or your mission and journey. Also, when you can identify your emotional core values, your spiritual core values, your pain values, your gain values, you have clarity on those. Those are a lot of deep soul search areas that when one is really working on doing the work, they have more clarity of who they are and why they are doing what they're doing, how they're going to do it, and what exactly they're going to be doing. And that creates a lot more joy in the growth process of them as a couple, because it creates this kind of friendship and togetherness and, you know, unity and oneness and all the good stuff that comes with those little things that when they become like a team, and everybody's working towards that same goal and vision to their household.
Love it. Love it. Let's take this commercial and we're going to come back and we're going to dive deeper into holy Dr. Carr, holistic, and whole Dr. Sofie. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Emotions versus energy, faith versus frequency, holiness compared to life holistically. It's my intention, it's my relationship. Emotions versus energy, faith versus frequency, holiness compared to life holistically. It's my intention, it's my relation.
Thank you. I want to send a big thank you to Anthony Randolph in Atlanta, who actually, I asked him if he could put a song together for me based off of tonight's 6 concepts. And so that was Anthony Randolph out of Atlanta that put that song together. So a big shout out to Anthony Randolph. And Dr. Sofie, he did our last virtual gathering, put a song for the last virtual gathering when we created the song called Expanded Consciousness. So Anthony Randolph is extremely gifted. Dr. Carr, you may know him from when Bishop Eddie Long was in his heyday, all those beautiful sounds that used to be behind him when he would be.
Okay.
That's Anthony. That's Anthony.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
Let's dive into holy versus whole or holistic. I'm going to go to you, Dr. Sofie, and I'm going to switch these around a little bit. I'm going to go to whole first and holistic, and then I'm going to let Dr. Carr talk about holy. That's his lane. Even though, Dr. Carr, again, that's another word that people take and just keep it into the church realm. But it's bigger than that. It's when you say that word holy, most people think you're talking about church and so on. But it really just means separated and pure. So it's much bigger than, what we've been taught to believe that it is from a church standpoint. It means to be elevated. But I'm going to let you talk. I mean, I know that's your realm. I know you're going to crush us on that one. So Dr. Sofie, let's talk about holistic and whole.
So I would say with holistic and whole is the feeling of feeling whole and complete. It is the interpersonal feeling that you have with your partner. It's like a system. You kind of want to eat together, check on one another. You are already done the work. Both of you are healed before you got into this relationship, and you live your life on those concepts, your way of your eating healthy food. It's different than, just the religious part of it or the faith-based part of it, and of course together they do interact very beautifully. And I would say mainly that when you are in a holistic approach, for example, even in the medical field, now we have homeopathic doctor versus MD, and everybody has their thoughts on that based on their belief system and comfort zones, which one is better, which one is right, and why is one thinking or the other. It's going to be a personal evaluation based on a person's own experience, research, and also, awareness of how they want to be receiving a treatment or so. So a lot of people who are holistic kind of it's a system. And when they are following to that system, ripples of a lot of areas of their life other than just the relationship. It's how they are going to, approach life in general in every area from that approach. The way they're going to eat, maybe they're more geared to, oh, let's eat less sugar, they're more mindful in those areas, and holistic thinking. Basically, it's a thinking style, it's a system, it is interpersonal connections between the physical, emotional, spiritual body and mental. And so once you understand that kind of system, you act upon it, and your behavior and life patterns are going to be influenced by it, and that's kind of more where it goes.
Dr. Carr, you want to tackle holistic before we open this up to holy? Because I'm going to give you some time to go to holy, and I also want to hear what Dr. Sofie has to say about holy as well. But what about holistic, Dr. Carr?
Well, I agree in what Dr. Sofie said, and it ties into what we have been saying. Once you are in alignment with, as she said earlier, with who you are, and if you and your partner are on the same page, you become a complete person. Your life there's an integrity with your life. In your spiritual life, your social life, your work life, everything is consistent because you are in alignment. And with this whole program that you're talking about, it's about alignment with the why. And you then add your energies, you add your emotions, you add everything to all of this framework once it's in place. But you have to get the framework in place. Then you can experience this completeness, this integrity of your life. So you are the same in every compartment of your life, and people can then trust you and depend on you because you present a complete picture. You see what I'm saying? So I really agree with what she was saying.
Love it. Okay, we have a comment. Let's take it. Finding yourself in a partner is the first layer of glue for the relationship. Thank my dear friend out of Florida, Clifford Grimes. I want to give Clifford Grimes a shout out too. He's an expanded consciousness thinker. He just started a spiritual center in Florida called Roche, Roche. Thank you, Brother Grimes. Finding yourself, what was it again? Put it back up, Steve. Finding yourself in a partner is the first layer of glue for the relationship. You guys want to respond to that? Either one of you want to tackle that?
I absolutely agree. And I like he said partner. That's more than just I found somebody to marry. A partner. If I'm going into a partnership with another person, a business partnership, we're coming together with shared goals and shared purpose. And so now you move from being in a relationship to a partnership. And that's what God is asking for us. A lot of people just have a relationship with God. No, he wants a partnership because we are building something together. A partner, they come together to build something, not just to live with each other. So I love what he put there. You have to find a partner first. So that's very important if you're going to talk about getting married. Is that person a partner, or y'all just have a relationship?
What about you, Dr. Sofie?
To find yourself in a partner, it also reflection that person is bringing the best out of you. You're being who you really authentically are, genuinely are. And that person has psychological safety, complete state of surrender to be who they really are. And then when that happens, magic happens, because when you are in your ultimate best potential state of existence, you function better, you bring the best out of each other, and it just really generates a lot of positivity into that foundation of the relationship. So yes, great comment.
And partner, really the root word for partner is part. And I think when people understand how to become a partner, you have to understand your part, right?
Yes, lovely.
So everyone has a part. Now, once you understand your part, you understand that part to complement, not to compete, but you play that part to complement. That's where a lot of people miss it. They sometimes look at their flaws and their weaknesses, and it becomes an issue. And now, because they're trying to suffice, they want to compete. So instead of looking at the totality as a whole, take your part and then learn how to complement. And so once you guys can complement each other and not compete against each other, that's how you can create the partnership. Let's go to you, Dr. Carr. We're going to talk about what role does holy play in a relationship?
I'm glad you asked that question because we first of all need to understand the meaning and the definition of the word holy. And for years, I thought of somebody being holy as like real super spiritual and all those kind of things. But that's not what it's about. When God told Israel that he wanted them to be holy, what he was saying was, when you go into the promised land, I don't want you to engage in the same practices of those people. They were sacrificing kids. He said, no, I don't want you to follow those practices. I want you to be holy. I want you to be different. I want you to be set apart. In other words, I want you to have a set of values that separates you out. And when I think about holy, I think about values. That's what's going to set you apart from other people. What values control your behavior? You know, I teach at least 10 core values that you should have. And these core values will separate you out from those that don't have these. One of them is character and integrity and so forth and so on. And so when you talk about holy, when I really understood what God meant about do not participate in the same practices, but be holy, be different, be set apart. And one of the things that's going to be very important in a relationship is that the couples operate on neutral, on the mutual values. Do our values match? Because if your values do not match, your relationship is going to be very strained. Your value must match, because now it's going to determine what other couples you allow to come into your relationship. Why would my wife and I go into a relationship with a couple and they have absolutely no integrity? No, it doesn't make sense, because that's going to be a problem. You have to be very careful as a couple who you bring in as a network into your circle. So your values, your core values must separate you out and help you filter. It helps you to filter who can be a part of this network.
I like it. You said integrity, character. You know, my dad used to have a saying, you have to put ice on everything. He said, I don't care what it is, put ice on everything. What is ice? Integrity, character, and excellence. Integrity, character. He said, put ice on. Make sure you ice it. Make sure you put ice on there. Always operate with integrity, always operate with character, and always operate from a position of excellence. Dr. Sofie, what do you say about holy when it comes to, or the word holy when it comes to a relationship?
I think of holy, of purity, Holy Spirit, holy guidance, very sacred, you know, and when we honor that in that type of integrity, commitment, and engagement, connection, you have a very strong bond as a couple. And I feel that it kind of protects the relationship as well. In many ways, I feel that when we are able to connect those two things together, not only the relationships become functional, it becomes anointed. You know, it's really, really a very powerful formula to really understand and integrate from a metaphysical, spiritual, religious, faith belief foundation. Is going to be a very strong, together connecting dots in different realms and dimensions of your personality, your personal reality, and the way you can understand, see things, that in times of challenges, what do you anchor to? You know, And that's going to be important, something pulls you through those times, that you ride over the waves, and then not drown in them.
I like it. We're actually getting close. This hour has gone by so fast, you guys. I hope you guys have had as much fun as I have. I've really enjoyed having you guys. I want to tie this last, though, the holy and holistic. I think that a whole relationship does not need fixing. Why? Because it accepts everything as it is. That's seeing for as it is. And I think a lot of times, Dr. Carr, I want to see what you think. When, as you said, a person becomes so super spiritual and so quote unquote holy, sometimes it taps into the realm of wanting to judge and fix everything. And I think once we can get beyond that and understand the holistic or the whole aspect, the whole relationship does not need fixing because it accepts everything as it is. So it's the reality of what it is. It sees it as for what it really is, and it works from that base. It works from there without casting or passing judgment, but it works from there. It accepts what it is. It's not trying to compete. It's not trying to catch up. It's not trying to be something that it isn't. It accepts it for what it really is. I think that's when you can really accept being a whole person, because I think you said this, Dr. Carr, you realize the completeness of who you are. Every person has to ask themselves. My dad also said this, 3 questions at some point in their life: who am I, where am I going, and how am I going to get there? That goes back to something you said earlier too, Dr. Carr, and you too, Dr. Sofie, about, okay, we got another comment. Let's take this comment. What is it? Integration of the body, mind, soul, nervous system, and spirit is the wholeness of the being. Each must be whole within their self. Okay? Integration of the body, mind, soul, nervous system, and spirit is the wholeness of the being. Each must be whole within their self. You guys understand that? You too? The integration?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Each must be whole within themselves. That's the part I definitely want to ride on. You got to be whole within yourself. You can't look for somebody else to make you complete. You have to go into the situation already complete.
Absolutely.
So again, asking yourself, who am I? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? Do the work. As Dr. Sofie said, everybody must do the work. Here's the last one, and we're going to close this out, you guys. How do you guys think thoughts match up with theology when it comes to a relationship? Either one of you.
Say that question again.
How do you think thoughts match up with theology when it comes to a relationship?
Right. Well, it's very simple. The Word of God says that you have to renew your mind. If you're going to become a partner with a new person, your thought process now has to change. You need a new paradigm, because now it's not just you, it's two. And so therefore, it's what we're going to do together. You got to get that. See, and your wholeness can accept a new person. If you're whole, you can accept them as they are, and then you two put your strengths together and build. But it starts here.
Mine. Anything, Dr. Sofie, there?
I would say your thoughts basically is what influences your choices. Theology is like broader of what you really believe in, that is going to determine how you're thinking, you know? And regards to the acceptance part, you know, like when we do the inner work and you're healed, basically, when you accept yourself to who you are, sometimes the other person might not accept you completely of what you are, but if you're, again, your beliefs and principles, core values are aligned, and that's when you would really accept the person. So the acceptance can sometimes, those points are so strong in life, because you can go into a relationship and you have those different principles, guiding principles, and then you still go in because maybe you're attracted to the energy or the personality and you stick it through, but then there's those forces within you. That's your true identity. When you're not true to yourself, it is going to make you suffer, and you will feel there's an, because it will take away your clarity and your inner peace. So those foundations, as you build on them, are going to be extremely strong and powerful to your whole being in general. So I just wanted to add that in.
To thine own self be true. Right?
Yes.
To thine own be self. You do not need another partner to make you wholly or complete. Two whole people meet as sacred equals to share their light. I'm going to close this by giving some closing statements. To expand in your consciousness, it means you have to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You have to become aware of your automatic programs. You must catch yourself in the act of being yourself. This takes effort, it takes will, it takes energy. Most people will say that they want to change, but they are not willing to give up their old self to become their new self. Most want a new life, but they want to bring their old personality with them. This is impossible. You cannot create a new future by holding on to the emotions of the past. You must be willing to expand in your consciousness. The question is, who do you want to be? Not who you were, not who you are based off of your past, but who do you choose to become? I hope tonight has enlightened. I hope tonight has empowered and hopefully expanded you to help you to ponder these questions. Love is the energy, frequency of absolute harmony because it is the vibrational frequency where there is no separation. Don't focus on what's missing. Let's focus on what we intend to create. Where your attention goes, of course, that's how your energy flows. Dr. Carr, tell us about your book, and we're going to get out of here. Tell us about your book that you have out and tell people how they can get your book.
Okay, yes. The title of my book is Before You Say I Do and After. I wrote this book talking about the 4 things that you must know about your mate before you decide to marry them. There's 4 things that you must know. And I have them in my book. My book can be purchased. You can go to my website, recarr.org. That's recarr.org is my website. Purchase that book and find out what are the 4 things you must know about your partner before you say I do.
Yeah, everybody, you got to get that. You need that in your book collection. Dr. Sofie, tell us about your book and how people can get yours as well.
Yes, well, in return to this type of topic, I would say optimize your creative mindset, unleash the power of your imagination. They can purchase it on the browser. They put that in on Amazon, on Barnes and Noble, and any areas. They can book it over there, and it's by Dr. Sofie Nubani.
And that's optimize your creative mindset.
Yes.
Well, you guys, this has been fun. I got to send a shout out to Action Shot Productions, none other than Steven Sebo, because he's been responsible for this amazing program tonight. He gave himself a break. He gave himself a big round of applause. Thank you, Steven Sebo and Action Shot Productions. If you guys want any more, if you need any information regarding a podcast or a producer for your podcast, get in contact with Action Shot Productions. His QR code is right there to my right underneath Action Shot Productions, down on the bottom corner. That would lead you to Steven Sebo. I want to thank you, both of you, my mastermind guests, Dr. Ricky Carr, Dr. Sofie Nubani. I want to thank all of you tonight by supporting us, by tuning in. What you tune into is what you turn into. So I hope tonight helps you to turn into something. Have a wonderful weekend. And again, thank you too. We're going to do this again real soon, both of you, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
I am your host, C. Reggie Rogers, renowned relationship coach, author, television host, radio host, podcast host, and I've got I consider myself a singles empowerment coach. Now, when I say singles empowerment coach, my objective is to literally teach singles or empower singles what it means to become the one so that they attract. You know, breaking up really is so hard. Breakups are never easy for anyone. And so this month, we're going to be talking about It's Over, I'm Sick. So that was the thing that drew me to you, and I wanted to get some advice, some wisdom from you in regards to this dating process.
Yes,
so
yes.
I want to talk about it.